What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. I mean, if only I just waited like an hour or something like that, half an hour, I would have had this information for the previous video. But we are on, this is a website I was not preparing to check out. This is like the Korean website where a lot of the Korean players will get their information on the game. Like they post like their official information here as their like social media website. And like in the past, this has been a really good way to get information early before they officially reveal it on like the English version, and I just wasn't anticipating them to actually post the information of what this character does, but we have it here, so we're going to be going through it. Not only that, we have the information for Vivi and Rebecca. We'll talk about them in just a moment, but we have Uta here. Now, it isn't stated specifically what type and classes she is, but we can pretty much, you know, surmise what she's going to be. So let's go ahead and break down everything here. So captain ability is quite extensive here. Let's go ahead and go through it, right? So Uta, the Christmas Uta, Captain effect, bell sounding, resonating on the sacred night. Reduces crew's ultimate move by 1 turn. Of course, this is translated from Korean, so the wording will be a little bit off. This basically means give -1 turn of cooldown at the start of the quest. Reduces the number of changes by 5. So what I can surmise here is that this is reducing super switch gauge by 5 at the start of the quest. That's really cool for dual units being used under this unit. Boost the attack of strength, quick, cerebral, and shooter characters by 5 times. So very, very similar to Halloween Uta, where she boosts Dex, Int, Cerebral Driven. This is strength, quick, cerebral, shooter. Interesting. 5x boost, 1.35 times HP. Changes size slots of strength, quick, cerebral, and shooter characters into rainbow slots. So that's really interesting too. This character is wholly focused around the rainbow slot mechanic and abusing that in multiple circumstances here. So any size slot you get is transformed into a rainbow slot instead. Very, very unique ability. When you achieve 3 perfects, when you this wording's really weird. And when achieving perfect 3 or 5 times in a row, boost the attack power of strength, quick, cerebral, and shooter characters by 5.5 to 6x. So if you hit 3 perfects in a row, the 5 times becomes a 5.5. If you hit 5 times in a row, the 5.5 becomes a 6 times boost. Recovers burn duration by 10 turns. So that's her like gimmick in her captain ability. Then, if you tap on this character with a rainbow slot, it will reduce strength, quick, resistance. There might be something else here. It's probably cerebral would be my guess. I don't think it's going to be free spirit, but either way, strength, quick, and something else, resistance down by -10% if you tap on her with a rainbow slot. And then when a cerebral or a shooter character, as a crewmate, not a friend captain, but when a crewmate that is cerebral or shooter uses their special, the attack power of cerebral and shooter characters for the next final tap will be increased by 20%. So this is very similar to the dual Yamato, right? Where whenever you activate one of your crewmates, that's a striker or a slasher in her circumstance, would give a bonus to the next final tap. So this instead is for cerebral or shooter crewmates. This effect can be activated up to 6 times, up to 2 times in the same turn. So it's not as good as the dual Yamato, for example. You can stack it up to 200% with other effects, but this character can only get it up to 6 potential times, which means that, 6 times 20% gives you a total of 120% bonus of your 200%, and the effect is consumed when attacking with all attackable characters and tapping last. Yeah, so it means that you can have this whenever you activate this, it will last forever until you attack with your last character in your crew. It doesn't specifically mean when you activate a final tap, it's just that when the last character in your crew performs an attack, this will be used up. So it means if you run double Uta, you can stack up to that 200% pretty easily, right? Because it's basically a 40% stack each time. So that's the captain ability. So I think it's not a bad captain, all things considered. Like, the -1 cooldown, the 5 turns of super switch is really cool. It boosts a lot of units, strength, quick, cerebral, and shooter. However, with this part of the captain ability with the final tap bonus, you probably want to predominantly run cerebral and shooter characters. And then being able to change size slots into rainbow, passively active all the time, could actually be really, really cool. And then of course the way that she gets the higher attack boost is you have to consecutively hit your perfects, which makes sense that she removes burn, because when you hit perfects you lose damage, you lose HP, so being able to remove burn makes a little bit of sense. But the burn removal is it's a little mediocre in my opinion. Like, removing burn is not the best utility you could be having as a captain. Like, Bind, Despair, Paralysis. Those are like the 3 best ones to have. Special Bind's another good one. Special Reverse. There's lots of good ones. Burn is like the mid-tier one. It's okay, right? So Captain ability, it's fine. It's not the most broken thing ever, but it's far from bad, I'll say. It's definitely better than a lot of other characters that have released this calendar year. Now, the special ability of Uta, it says, allows your crew to use super tandems with strength and rainbow slots for 3 turns. So that's cool. We've seen that happen over the past, couple months. You had Katakuri and Big Mom being able to use it with Sembler slots. We had the Odin character, which enabled you to do it with Wano slots. And now this character, Uta, being able to allow it with rainbow and strength slots for 3 turns. This character also recovers 20,000 HP, changes all slots including block into rainbow. That's big. Being able to get a full board of rainbow and then being able to use super tandem with them. So very similar to Katakuri and Big Mom. And then it says, if the ultimate moves are used 4 times in a row with perfect attacks. So this wording's a little bit weird because ultimate moves, it means specials. And then it says 4 times in a row with perfect attack. So I guess if you use the special ability and then you hit 4 perfects, it will give 2 times attack to strength, quick, cerebral, and shooter when they successfully tap for 1 turn. So again, the wording on this one is a little weird, but what I can guess is that it's providing an attack boost based on when you hit a certain amount of perfects. So I'm assuming this is a new type of buff that can stack with normal attack boosts. That's my assumption. It says if the captain is cerebral or marksman, which means shooter. So if you have a cerebral or a shooter captain, the status of attack power reduction and recovery effects converted to damage above a certain chain coefficient on the crew is reduced by 6 turns. Okay, so this is chain attack down, but this is also saying recovery effects converted to damage above a certain chain. So I assume this means attack power above a certain chain and then just recovery into healing. It removes those debuffs by 6 turns when you have a cerebral or a shooter captain. And then if there is a chain coefficient already fixed when you use the special, the effect of that chain coefficient fixed status is buffed by 0.5. And if the chain is not fixed, the initial value... Okay, so it's basically saying if you have a chain related chain lock or a chain boundary, you buff it by 0.5. If you don't have one, you get a 3.0 chain boundary for 1 turn. So, the special's fine. It's a perfectly okay special ability. Being able to abuse super tandem with strength rainbow slots is really, really unique. And because of that, I am assuming that the new Uta is going to have super tandem. Now, of course, we don't have the full abilities at this current point in time, because this is the only thing that they've posted on the Korean account. But, it's still better than nothing. So we get a little bit of an idea in regards to what this character is actually doing. So I think the character is pretty decent. It's definitely better than Halloween Uta that we had a couple months back. Definitely better than that unit, but it's not a character you need to go out of your way to pull for. Of course, this character is going to be useful for whatever event they have planned, likely another Blitz battle, right? But, just wait and see, because you should wait for New Year's to come out first, see what's on that banner, and then if you don't like that, or if you already get the units that you want, then you can pivot over to this banner if you wanted to do something like that. So Uta's very, very cool. Let's move on now to Vivi and Rebecca. Remember, this is the 6-star plus. It does mention it there. Now, this unit, man, I was expecting some really cool stuff, but oh, man, they kind of screwed this unit. So I say that I feel like they kind of screwed this unit because when you have a look at what they actually gave the 6+, this unit really did not receive much of a buff at all. Now, I will say that we don't know if these abilities that are shown in this image are the level limit break version of the unit, because when you have level limit break with the new 6+, they're going to have buffed abilities, of course. I don't know if these are going to be the buffed abilities, but let's go ahead and have a look. So Captain ability, it gives attack boost to Striker, and I assume this is meaning cerebral characters, by 4.5, 1.3 times HP, amplifies the effect of the color affinity by 1.3. So if we go over to what the base version of the unit does, if we have a look at the dual captain, Striker cerebral, 4 times boost, 1.3 times HP, so that's all still the same, and then color affinity is buffed by 1.3. So it's a very low attack multiplier, but then if you have the type advantage, that unit will get additional damage increase. I've never really liked characters that do this. So the base form of the unit gets this. So it's a 5.2 if you have a Striker cerebral unit that attacks with type advantage. However, if we have the 6-star plus, It's 5.85 times damage when you have a Striker or Cerebral with type advantage. It's not the best captain ability, right? Striker and Cerebral characters treat all type slots as beneficial, reduces the appearance rate of meat and tandem slots for the crew, recovers 4,000 HP at the end of the turn. Like, this is pretty much the exact same captain ability here. And then it does state, when the crew's ultimate skill, or when the crew's special chain coefficient fixed, so it means chain lock or chain boundary, and chain coefficient addition, excluding increase, is activated, you extend it by 1 turn. So if you activate a chain lock, chain boundary, or a chain coefficient boosting effect, you extend the duration of that buff by 1 turn. Meaning if you have double Vivi Rebecca and you use the new special ability of that Uta, it will give you a 3-turn chain boundary instead of a 1-turn chain boundary. You're not using this character as a captain, let's be real here. But that's the thing, it just doesn't do that much. It's literally exact same captain ability, except that it's a 4.5 instead of 4, and you have the added effect of extending the duration of the chain buffs. That's it, right? So I'm assuming there's something more here because there's just not enough to consider that a super evolution buff. Moving on to the special, really haven't done much there either. So it says here that it reduces the duration of block and ultimate block. Now I'm just fully assuming that this is the exact same effect of this. Bind and it would be special bind. So it's the same word, bind and special bind. So I assume it's like block and ultimate block. Ultimate refers to specials. So yeah, it should be bind and special bind by 6 turns, which of course is the exact same as this. It will give an attack boost and an orb boost to Cerebral and Striker characters, 2.25 for 2 turns. That attack buff and orb buff can be buffed 2 times. So very similar to the Vegapunk units. You can buff the attack and orb boost 2 separate times. However, we have a look at what the character currently does. 2 times attack, 2 times orb boost for 1 turn. So if their 6+, is just 2.25 for 2 turns that can be double buffed, it's not much of an increase to me, honestly. They fuse for 3 turns, and then when the ultimate move is activated, when you use the special, and you have a rainbow slot on this character, reduce the duration of damage immunity by 2 turns. So that is a new effect, but having to have a rainbow slot, locking that ability behind a rainbow slot really irks me, because I know that there's going to be some stupid event that comes out where you need a rainbow slot in order to remove the damage immunity, and you only can do that when you have the new Uta. Just terrible design. So what I'm saying here is like, I feel like this character like got royally screwed, because they kind of locked this whole thing around using the new Uta, which it just feels really, really terrible. I hope that this is without the level limit break buff, so this character has room to grow and room to get better, because as it stands right now, this might be one of the worst 6+s within the calendar year, which is really sad because we were hoping for big things for this unit. So really disappointing for Vivi Rebecca. The new Uta, I think, is kind of nice. I think she's a pretty good unit, definitely better than the Halloween Uta that we got a couple months back, but overall, it just has a really weird celebration coming out right before New Year's. There's no reason to do this. There's no reason to pull for these units. Just wait for New Year's, right? Hopefully you enjoyed the video though. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.